Hey there everyone, and welcome to The Mindful Musician. On this channel, we explore the strategies and tools that help us become more aware of our inner world as musicians and constantly evolve into the best version of ourselves. I'm Cosmin, I'm a guitarist, I'm a singer, a professional educator, and a martial artist from Bucharest, Romania, and I'm here today to show you how to avoid the 5 biggest issues that almost always occur in the case of improper articulation technique. I'm talking about bending and vibrato. First of all, what are bending and vibrato? Bending means pushing a string upwards or pulling it downwards in order to alter the pitch of a certain note. Vibrato means rapidly changing the pitch of a note, alternating between the initial note and another in a rhythmic fashion by pulling or pushing the string. Therefore, vibrato is actually nothing else but a consecutive series of bends. Let's dissect 5 of the biggest issues people encounter with these techniques and how you can actually solve them. So make sure you have given this video a thumbs up, you have subscribed to the channel, and activated the notification bell. Number 1, bad grip. Number 2, using the fingers instead of the wrist. Number 3, string muting. Number 4, intonation or pitch. Number 5, rhythm and note exposure. Let's tackle them one by one. Bad grip. I've seen so many versions of a bad grip that I can't even remember them all, but the main point here is that your hand needs support in order to become able to control one or more strings that are under tension. You want to focus on 3 points of contact when executing bending or vibrato. Thumb over the guitar neck. The root of the index touching the underside of the neck. When bending upwards, the middle and ring fingers should press and hold the string when the wrist moves it upwards, while the index should be used for muting the strings above the string you're bending or vibrating. When bending downwards, you can also use the index, as the inner side of the same finger actually takes care of muting the higher strings. There are some situations in which you can only use one finger to execute bending or vibrato, or even involve the pinky, but in the majority of cases, the aforementioned principles will be enough to provide great control from the perspective of the posture or grip. Also, you should mind 3 other elements. Your elbow should remain near your body. Don't try to catch flight when bending. I'm mentioning this because if I got $1 every time I've witnessed this sort of a little habit, I'd probably have acquired quite a hefty sum. Your left hand wrist should be straight instead of bent. If your palm can touch the underside of the neck, your wrist is bent, and you won't have the necessary posture, space, nor strength to bend the string, neither upwards nor downwards. The position of your hand should be angled and not parallel to the fretboard. You'll get it why immediately after this. The second biggest issue is using the fingers to bend or vibrate instead of your wrist. Now that you've solved the posture equations, let's move on to the actual string bending motion. If your grip is anatomically correct, in order to sustain such a motion, pay attention to how the wrist rotates around the axis of the forearm, pushing the string up in a circular motion using the angled posture of your hand. Your whole hand should be motionless and your wrist should be doing all the work. It is strong enough to take the string along for the ride while your fingers are not. This is how it should look like. Instead of this, where your fingers are either pushing the string from below without maintaining proper contact and tension with the string, or your wrist is bent and it tries to execute a circular motion around the axis of the guitar neck. This is not okay. Imagine your wringing the water out of a cloth. That's how the motion could be translated to one that you've probably experienced many times outside the guitar universe. Number 3, string muting. Now that posture and motion are taken care of, let's take a look at how to get rid of unwanted noises. When bending upwards, maybe you remember me mentioning that the index finger has a job. It's supposed to mute the strings above the string you're going to bend, so make sure that it lightly touches one or two of the strings above the one you're bending without pressing them, like this. When bending downwards, the inner side of the index finger will automatically take care of muting the strings that it covers, so you can actually add it to the middle and ring finger holding the string about to be bent, like this. Now that you've hopefully got the hang of the mechanical elements involved in bending, let's move on to the musical aspects. And first, we've got intonation or pitching. So check this out. There is nothing worse than bending without proper intonation or pitch, so you want to deal with this matter really carefully. You do not want your bending and vibrato to sound like this. The good news is, and yes, there's good news, your left hand is ready to help you in your quest now that it has proper posture, motion, and it can mute unwanted noises. In my experience, if you want to be able to tackle the majority of the musical situations, you need to be able to properly bend and sustain half step, whole step, and minor third bends, upwards and also downwards, first using the support of both middle and ring finger, and then in some cases just the middle finger or the index finger. By the way, it's very important to know that the G string is the only one that can be actually bent both upwards and downwards, while the high E and B strings work only upwards, and the D, the A, and the low E work only downwards. Also, listen to the note you're targeting and to the note you're bending. Articulation technique, that means bending and vibrato, are highly correlated to listening. Make sure that you already know how your target note sounds in your auditive memory before actually playing it. Only after being able to correctly intonate the note and hold it for 5 seconds, you can start thinking about vibrato applied to bending. This takes us to the final point, which is number 5, rhythm and note exposure. Vibrato and bending have to follow a rhythmic pattern. When you vibrate a note, it's just like you're alternating between 2 or sometimes more notes. First, expose the note and then follow a rhythmic pattern in your vibrato. I promise your playing will sound tons better. Now that we've marked these important aspects, let's see them at play in a solo. Also, make sure to check the full lesson on this topic on my Patreon page. That is patreon.com/CosminLupu, VMMGG. Finally, remember, the string that does not tell a story does not receive the listener's attention. We'll be covering all this and lots more in guided practical activities, why and how to videos, interviews, and collaborations. So if this video caught your attention, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. You'll love the custom playlist that I've made for you that has videos about practices that have apparently changed people's lives. And if this sounds good to your mind and ears so far, then I'm inviting you to continue browsing my content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.